Imagine June, normally a time of warmth, when the sun bathes the world in golden light and green fields stretch as far as the eye can see. People would gather outdoors, children playing in meadows, and farmers tending to their crops, all expecting the gentle embrace of summer. But in 1816, something extraordinary happened. New England awoke to a world transformed. Snow blanketed the ground, covering gardens and roads in a thick, wintry layer. People stepped outside in disbelief, their summer plans dashed by the unseasonable chill. The air was icy, biting at exposed skin. Birds, usually so lively in June, fell eerily silent, as if nature itself was holding its breath. The world felt turned upside down, with confusion and worry spreading through every town. Across the Atlantic, London was drenched in relentless cold rain that seemed to never end. In Switzerland, glaciers advanced down the mountainsides, reclaiming land that had been green just months before. The cold was everywhere, sparing no one. People everywhere stared at a dim, veiled sun, its light weak and strange behind thick clouds. They shivered in their summer clothes, afraid and uncertain, wondering what had caused this unnatural weather. Diaries from the time speak of disbelief and fear. Crops buried under snow, the ground frozen solid even in the heart of summer. Farmers watched helplessly as their livelihoods vanished beneath the frost. Breath misted in the air, each exhale a visible reminder of the cold that refused to leave. People huddled together for warmth, sharing stories and anxieties about what the future might hold. The natural rhythm of the seasons had broken. Summer had vanished, replaced by a strange, lingering winter that no one could explain. This was no ordinary cold snap. It was a relentless, global phenomenon. From North America to Europe and beyond, the world was gripped by a chill that seemed to have no end. The year became known as the year without a summer, a time of hardship, hunger, and strange beauty. Fields lay barren, but sunsets glowed with unusual colors, all triggered by a distant catastrophe that no one yet understood. No one in Europe or America knew what had happened, but the world had changed overnight. Families watched the skies, searching for answers, as the mystery of the missing summer deepened with every passing day. 1816 was a year of darkness and cold, a time when summer never truly arrived. Across Europe and North America, people awoke to frost in June, and snow fell in places where it had never been seen before at that time of year. The world seemed turned upside down, and confusion reigned. It was a global crisis that no one understood. People watched the skies, searching for answers, as the sun's warmth vanished and days felt endlessly gray and cold. The cause? A massive volcanic eruption, Mount Tambora in Indonesia, had exploded a year earlier, sending a vast cloud of ash and dust high into the atmosphere. This cloud circled the globe, blocking sunlight and plunging the planet into a strange, lingering twilight. Crops failed as the cold and darkness stunted growth. Famine spread rapidly, and food prices soared beyond what most families could afford. Hunger became a daily reality for millions. Riots erupted in the streets as desperate people fought for bread. Families became refugees, forced to leave their homes in search of food and warmth. The sun, once a symbol of life, now seemed powerless to help. The sky glowed with eerie, blood-red sunsets, and a strange, dry fog dimmed the daylight. People stared in awe and fear, wondering if the world was ending, as uncertainty and dread gripped entire nations. Yet, in this darkness, creativity flourished. Forced indoors by the relentless cold, writers and artists found inspiration in the gloom. Some of history's greatest art and literature was born, including the legendary tale of Frankenstein. The year without a summer reminds us how a single, distant event can ripple across the globe, changing millions of lives and shaping history in unexpected ways. It was a year of disaster and hardship, but also of resilience, adaptation, and the birth of monsters. both real and imagined. The world survived, forever changed by the year the sun went out. Our story begins in April 1815 on the remote island of Sumbawa, Indonesia, a place of lush forests and thriving villages, where life followed the rhythms of the land and sea. But beneath the tranquil surface, a force was building that would change the world forever. Mount Tambora, a towering volcano, erupted with a violence never before witnessed in recorded history. The earth shook, the sky darkened, and a deafening roar shattered the peace. The explosion was so powerful, it was heard over 1,600 miles away, echoing across islands and seas, startling sailors on distant ships and villagers who could only wonder at the source of the thunderous sound. In a matter of moments, the top 4,000 feet of the mountain vanished, blown away in a cataclysmic blast. Rivers of scorching ash and rock, pyroclastic flows, raced down the slopes, incinerating everything in their path. Tsunamis, triggered by the eruption, crashed into coastal settlements, sweeping entire communities into the sea. Over 10,000 people perished instantly. For days, darkness blanketed the land as thick ash rained down, burying crops and homes. Rivers and streams turned toxic, making the very water undrinkable. In the weeks and months that followed, the survivors faced a new horror. Starvation and disease swept through the region, claiming tens of thousands more lives as food supplies vanished and illness spread. Yet the most profound impact of Tambora's fury was invisible to the eye. The eruption hurled vast amounts of sulfur dioxide high into the stratosphere, far above the clouds and weather. There, these gases combined with water vapor to form a veil of tiny sulfuric acid droplets, spreading silently and steadily around the entire globe, carried by the winds. This thin, invisible shield reflected sunlight back into space, dimming the sun's warmth and setting the stage for a worldwide climate disaster that no one could have foreseen. The true legacy of Tambora was not just the devastation it left behind in Indonesia, but a global transformation, one that would touch every continent and change the course of history. Soon, people across the world would feel the chill, as the aftershocks of the mountain that roared echoed through the climate, the harvests, and the lives of millions. By spring 1816, Tambora's veil gripped the northern hemisphere. Winter refused to end. June brought snow to New England, and frosts killed crops as far south as Virginia. Summer was a parade of bizarre extremes. Ice on Pennsylvania rivers in July, relentless cold and rain, and failed harvests. Europe fared no better. Potato crops failed in Ireland, famine and disease spread, and glaciers advanced in Switzerland. In India, the monsoon faltered, triggering cholera's deadly spread. In China, rice harvests collapsed, leading to famine. From America to Asia, the silent fallout from Tambora left a trail of death and despair. The climate engine had broken, and no one was spared. The world was plunged into chaos. The most devastating impact was agricultural collapse. Corn failed in North America. Grain prices soared, and bread became a luxury. Famine swept across continents. People ate roots, nettles, even rats. Riots broke out, governments were overwhelmed, and migration surged as families fled ruined farms. In Europe, many saw emigration to America as their only hope. The year without a summer reshaped populations and accelerated westward expansion. Amidst the hunger, sunsets blazed with unnatural colors. Artists like Turner captured these skies, recording a world out of balance. For those living through it, the beauty was terrifying, a blood-red sky mirroring their suffering. The world's pain was painted across the heavens. The Great Hunger left scars that would last for generations. Amid the gloom, a group of writers, Mary Godwin, Percy Shelley, Lord Byron, and John Polidori, were trapped by rain at Lake Geneva. To pass the time, Byron proposed a ghost story contest. The stormy, unnatural summer inspired Mary to dream up Frankenstein, a monster born from the cold and darkness. Polidori, inspired by Byron, created the vampire, the ancestor of Dracula. The volcanic winter gave birth to two of horror's greatest icons. Out of darkness and fear, new legends emerged. The summer that never was became a crucible for creativity. As 1816 dragged on, confusion and fear spread. The sun appeared dim and strange, the sky veiled in a persistent dry fog. Red and brown snow fell, and the air tasted sour, signs of a world out of balance. Panic and superstition flourished. Many believed the end was near. Disease outbreaks were blamed on the poisoned air, and religious leaders called it divine punishment. Scientists were baffled, proposing wild theories about sunspots and planetary changes. The true cause, a distant volcano, was unimaginable. The mystery of 1816 was too great for the science of the time. The world searched for answers in vain. The numbers tell a chilling story. Global temperatures dropped by up to 0.7 degrees Celsius, enough to disrupt weather everywhere. Over 100,000 died from famine and disease, with millions more affected by the cholera pandemic that followed. Grain prices soared eightfold, and mass migration reshaped nations. Yet, crisis sparked innovation. In Germany, the high price of oats inspired the invention of the first bicycle. The volcano that stole summer also set wheels in motion for the future. Even disaster can drive human ingenuity. The world would never be the same. Could another Tambora-scale eruption happen? Absolutely. Supervolcanoes still slumber beneath our feet, and a modern eruption could trigger global chaos. Today, we'd see it unfold in real time, but knowledge wouldn't stop the agricultural crisis or food shortages. Our interconnected world is more vulnerable than ever. Supply chains could collapse, and famine could spread rapidly. The lesson of 1816 is clear. Our climate is fragile, and we must prepare for the unexpected. Building resilient food systems and international cooperation is vital. The year without a summer is a warning from history. Even a single summer can vanish, and the world can change in an instant.